Welcome back, everyone, to a brand new Star Wars spoiler review here at Max Talks Movies. My name is Max Dinenberg, and today we're talking about one of the most important episode TV show arcs in Star Wars history with Andor Season 2, episodes 7 through 9. If you're new to the channel, guys, please hit that subscribe button and ring that bell for notifications. My name is Max Dinenberg here. I'm here every day for the most part on Max Talks Movies. I do movie and TV show reviews, out of theater reactions, box office breakdown shows, movie franchise rankings. If you like those videos, anything one of those videos, this is the channel for you. So please subscribe and ring the bell if you're new. Comment down below. What are your thoughts on this 3 episode arc of Andor? Are these your favorite TV show episodes in Star Wars history? Would love to discuss with you guys down in the comment section down below. And also, guys, please hit that thumbs up button. It's how you support the channel. YouTube recommends my video more when you guys hit that like button. So please hit that like button so more people can check out the lovely Max Talks Movies community. So I was very excited for these episodes. Going in, the reports were that this was going to be the arc that everyone was going to be talking about. And it made sense that these episodes obviously included, I mean, these are two huge arcs in the rebellion, which is the Gorman massacre again, taking place in episode 8. And then you have Mon Mothma's speech on the Senate floor, leading to her getting out of the Senate and becoming one of the full-fledged leaders of the rebellion. And these are really important arcs, and it happened in back-to-back episodes. And I do want to say this show, these might be, especially episodes 8 and 9, are easily probably two of the best episodes of Star Wars television history, especially in live action. I do think these are the two best live action Star Wars episodes in history. Incredible episodes where, we set up the fact where Bix and Cassian are still now living on Endor. And you can tell with that Force healer character that she could sense how important, I guess, Cass's role will be in ultimately trying to be a hero and in the rebellion. And obviously, this whole arc is about Bix realizing that, he needs to be fighting for the rebellion, fighting for the cause. Then he can then spend time with her the way he wants to. And it leads to utter heartbreak in episode 9, which I'll get into. So in episode 7, it's just building up the Gorman Massacre. We really want to talk about the Gorman Massacre as a whole in episode 8. So Cass is obviously there, gets the help from the host who was like the bellboy in earlier in the show. And and you get this really rambunctious new person now with underneath Dedra, who now becomes like the point of command. He's a ruthless person. They call like a specialist for something, but he's just a ruthless human being. And we get Cyril in in episode 8 realizing how much Dedra has basically played him. And it gets when you get in these very fascist like relationships, this type of abuse honestly will happen. And it was so scary seeing Cyril basically choking Dedra after Dedra just kissed him. I think it was the episode before, and him just choking her until she told him the truth. It was just really awful abuse. And Cyril then leaves, and Dedra basically told him everything, and they need him back so he didn't start spreading anything to other people. But Dedra is basically beginning to be horrified also about what's going on. That it's all a ruse to get this metal that they're just going to have to start mining. And not just is she playing a lot of people, she technically was played by her supervisor, who continues to keep things very under the wraps, very calm in the way he goes about things. And after the massacre takes place, when Dedra's in that scene where she's like grasping her neck and taking off the thing above her, that was a really real act to see by Denigo. Hope I'm saying her name right. She is phenomenal in the show as Dedra Miro, and that scene was all due to acting for that to come across as well as it did. So all the credit in the world to her, because she was incredible in the episode. But as he is on Gorman, they're putting up this barricade, and at least all these, it's really a trap for the Gormans. And the one leader guy of the Gormans, like, it's obviously a trap. And his daughter's like, well, we need to be heard. And he says, you won't be heard when you're dead. And sadly, she gets violently murdered by a K2 unit, a KX unit, who just chucks her halfway across the freaking area, and she dies, and they let it stay on her. But we're setting up that something is about to happen big time. Well, obviously, if you know Star Wars Rebels, you know that in season 3, Mon Mothma talks about the Gorman massacre in a speech. And I'll get to that in episode 9. But we know that this is a big reason why basically Mon gets out of the Senate. And we go to the Gorman massacre, and Cass's only mission is to assassinate Dedra. He's trying to scope her out the entire episode. And out of nowhere, as these fights are beginning to happen, again, as people just throwing things, a loose cannon Empire person just shoots one person, and it brings out to a huge war ensuing between the Gormans and the Empire. And the Empire spins it as ruthless attacks by the Gormans, even though the Gormans were peacefully protesting their ancestral homeland. And it was very emotional, because it very much felt like something that happens a lot in the real world, where protests happen, things happen, and one accident, one mistake by one side, and everything is just unleashed on each other. One accident, one mistake, and how everyone's just trying to hurt or kill each other. And it was very authentic and very real how war is. And I thought it was extremely well done. The whole time as the Gormans are dying, the Empire is dying, Dedra's obviously horrified, Cyril is horrified until Cass has a great shot at Dedra. And even though Cyril does not know that that's what he's going for, Cyril's whole reason for getting all these promotions, he lived, breathed, and slept trying to kill Cassian Andor in season 1, especially. And he tackles him. They're having this huge fight, and he looks like he's about to kill Cass. That's we know Cass isn't going to die here, but Cass says, "Who are you?" And the fact that Cyril made his whole life revolving around really Cassian for an entire season, and the fact that he did all this work, all this stuff to get to this position, and the person that he's been trying to track down does not know who he is. Yes, they had a minor interaction in season 1, and the fact that that still wasn't a big enough interaction for Cass to remember him kind of, makes Cyril very disappointed, I think, in himself as well. But obviously, the dad, the leader of the Gorman group, kills Cyril, and Cass runs off. Now, as all these KX units get unleashed, one gets ran into, and Cass brings that KX unit with him, which we know will turn into K2SO at the end of episode 9. But a really horrific, and at times violent for Star Wars episode 8. And it really shows propaganda, both from the Empire side during that, what the Empire spins it. It really shows all facets of war, which is the way media covers war, the way civilians are covered during war, and what the leaders, I guess, the Empire in this situation were covered. Really, really well done in episode 8. The action was there, horrific deaths, intensity, abuse. There's a lot going on in episode 8. I thought it was very well done. And as we move to episode 9, it's all about, it's a 1-hour episode, and it's all about Mon giving this speech, which will get her on her way to Yavin. So she and Bail have this whole discussion, and it's another very intense episode, because Bail's people are supposed to take her after the speech to Yavin, which we know now will be the new home base for the rebellion as we head into Rogue One and A New Hope, not Dantooine. And we get this scene where, out of nowhere, she realizes that she is being watched by the Empire, and they are trying to make sure that they're really on top with all the senators, all these recording devices with all the senators, but really they're focusing on Mon. And that leads her to going out on the streets to practice this speech, and Luthen comes up, and Luthen, for a guy who's fighting for the rebellion, you can understand why people wouldn't trust him or feel some sort of way with him. But Luthen goes and says that, Erskine, the guy with you, he's been under my under my lead for 2 years now since the wedding. And she feels betrayed by this. She says, I trust Bale, I'll be fine. And he says, I have friends everywhere. When that person says that to you, go with him. He'll take you to, Yavin. And Cass's mission, and he thinks it's his last mission, is to take Mon to Yavin, because obviously he lives there now. And I think Benjamin Bratt was also a really good substitute for Jimmy Smits. Obviously, would I rather have Jimmy Smits? Of course, he's actually Bail Organa, but I think Benjamin Bratt did a very good job substituting for Smits in these episodes. And again, it's another very intense episode because as you realize that the three people who are on Bale's team to extract Mon, first of all, have never met each other, makes it very curious why Bale set this up. And then one of the people obviously is a ISB spy. Not just that, Mon's driver is an ISB spy. They have all these spies. Everyone's playing each other. And that's the whole point of war. It's the whole point of these episodes to show that both sides play each other as well. And we get this where Mon gives this speech. Now, the speech is not the speech that we hear the rebels, the Ghost Crew, see in their show. Gilroy, now I'll explain to that in a second, but the speech was extremely powerful. And she says that it was a genocide, which is a very strong word, especially when you're talking about war and a group of people. And then actually, she says the ultimate villain, the ultimate person, the puppet master of it all is Emperor Palpatine. And she is heading off, and Cass picks her up right in time. But then obviously the one ISB agent who's on Bale's team kills one of the other people. She's right there, and Cass kills her right in front of Mon. And Mon takes Cass's side in this because Cass says, I've been in all these different places. And he does tell her, welcome to the rebellion, which was a very cool, got me to clap by myself watching the episode. So it's very intense. They kill Mon's driver. They're completely on the run. And then they head back to where Cassian lived in the past episodes, the past arc with Bix. And we get the fact where, Mon says, I don't know how I can ever thank you. And he just says, you got to make it count. Now, Luthen, they do change it. They want Mon not to be flown in by Cass, but the rebellion wants to flip it. Like they're the true saviors, and they want Gold Squadron picking her up and sending her to Yavin. Now, we know in Rebels that at this point, the Gold Squadron have trouble with their plan to get Mon to originally Dantooine. So I think I guess they're changing that up. But obviously, the Rebels pick up Mon Mothma in season 3, and they're the ones with Gold Squadron who get Mon to Dantooine, which then leads to Yavin. So I really like. At times, yes, they kind of restructured some things from Rebels, but they also made it feel very close together. And as someone who adores Star Wars Rebels, I'm really happy how these episodes kind of entwined with season 3 of Rebels, which I, again, really, really enjoyed. And we know that Mon gives another speech about the Warbin Massacre, and Tony Gilroy's already confirmed that speech was given on the ship, because again, I think it was Erskine who also said Mon needs to make another speech. And I think that speech is what the Ghost Crew and Rebels sees in season 3. So Cass is back in with Yavin, lets his friend get worked on. He has the KTX unit also getting worked on. And that's when he talks to Bix and said, that's my last mission. We're getting out of here. The only thing important in my life is being with you. I have done enough to help people. I've done enough. I've had a huge part of this, but it's enough. I've done enough. Other people can help. And then they go to sleep. Bix doesn't really say anything. And this is the answer on what happens with Bix, which is that she leaves Cass. And she believes, again, that she is in the way of Cass fighting for the rebellion. And it's a very heartbreaking scene if you've seen Rogue One. Because because obviously she ends the whole video message saying, after this is all over, then we'll have our day in the sun. Then we'll be able to do whatever we want together with no questions asked. And obviously we know that Cass does not make it out of Rogue One, and it makes that ending very heartbreaking. The fact that, yes, he does help. He's a huge hero for the rebellion, but he just never gets to see Bix again. So it is very heartbreaking. I'm actually happy they didn't just kill her off. He is now obviously up to captain, and we see K2SO's debut in the show. So it is an incredible show that the sets are amazing. The score is amazing. It was very intense. I think episodes 8 and 9 are some of the best episodes of Star Wars television, if not the best 2 episodes of Star Wars television. And I am very, very excited for the finale. So what are your thoughts on Andor? Let me know in the comment section down below. Like, subscribe, and I'll see you guys soon.